Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is my review for The Bridge, Season 2, Episode 8, Goliath. And wow, once again, another great episode. Best episode of the season by far. Every single episode of the season is just better and better than the last. It's one of those shows. And this episode was just absolutely fantastic. I love this episode, thought it was fantastic. Especially the ending, really looking forward to seeing where it's going to go. And just, wow, love the episode. And one of the things I loved about this episode where many of the storylines are definitely starting to connect. Everything's really starting to connect, the whole Adriana Daniel storyline, that's connecting with Sonya and Marco's storyline now. The only thing that is not connecting, I would say, is, the only thing that's not connecting is Eva's storyline. Eva and Linder, that's the only thing that's not connecting. That sort of was the subplot of the episode. So, let's just get this episode because it was huge, a lot of shit went down, and let's just get to it. So we see Sonya, she's watching over this homeless drug addict, and she leaves a locket of hair from a box of her sister's things in the sleeping woman's hand. And she just says, it's over. Now we pull back to see that Eleanor is actually watching Sonya, and after she leaves, Eleanor approaches the homeless woman to take the locket, she smells it, and leaves with it. So that was interesting. Didn't know what she was going to do with it. So Robles is then eating at a local restaurant, and the Marinas then surround Robles and take him. Why? Because they need to tell him where Fausto Galvan is. And, Robles is not going to talk to them, obviously. So Marco then sees Robles getting ready in the restroom, and Robles tells Marco that he's taking some personal days. And Marco walks to the sink that Robles was standing over, and there are spots of blood in it, and Marco is officially very suspicious. He doesn't know what to think right now. He doesn't really trust Robles right now. He just doesn't know what to think. So meanwhile, Sonya's at the crime scene that took place at Adriana's place, and Lucy is still alive, but her parents don't approve of her relationship with Adriana. So, of course, Lucy was shot in the last episode. We don't know by who she got shot by, and luckily she's alive. I was happy to see that she's alive. I was happy to see that she wasn't dead. And but unfortunately, Adriana's not able to stay at the hospital with her. The attacker, luckily, though, is dead. The detective discovered that the man had two addresses on him belonging to Adriana and Daniel. So clearly it was not some random break-in. Somebody sent him, obviously. Now, I think Eleanor was the one that sent that attacker, but I want to know what you guys think. Who do you think sent that attacker? I think it's Adriana. I think it's Eleanor, So Sonya asks Adriana if she knows where Daniel is, and she admits that he's up to something crazy, and he sent her a text saying that he was going to get at Sebastian Cerisola from Grupo Clio, and Adriana connects the dots for Sonya, explaining everything she and Daniel have linked in the investigation. So, I really liked that started connecting that up, so I really enjoyed that. Now, Cerisola, meanwhile, is visiting Galvan to admonish him for going after the reporters. So, Galvan is lamenting about being cooped up in the hideout, and, yeah, so he feels like he's cooped up in this hideout. And Cerisola mentions that even Eleanor agrees with him about Galvan's hasty and bloody actions, and Galvan finds it interesting that Cerisola met with Eleanor, and he says we need to cut our losses, and Galvan's not backing down, though. He's not willing to lose $1 million because Cerisola is getting very skittish about the deal. And Cerisola gives Galvan the reality check that he needs, and, he gives him that reality check because Galvan really is not really thinking realistically here at all. He's nothing realistically. So, and I like what Cerisola says to him because this is true. You can't just kill your way out of this. You can't just, you can't kill all these people and that's how you get out of this. But Galvan does not take his advice. He hashes out a delicate plan to deal with the cop situation, and he asks his lackey to call the chopper. Now, the Chopper was a very creepy character, in my opinion. The Chopper was just a very interesting character, and the Chopper is actually after Sonya. This is not going to be a good thing. This guy is after Sonya. He is not someone you want to mess with. He is not someone that is he definitely is a very interesting character, in my opinion. And he's a character that's just, wow. His character was just really, really creepy, in my opinion, definitely. I really enjoyed his character. I thought, I don't know who played him, but the actor that played him was just very, very interesting, definitely. His character just, wow. His character really impressed me, definitely. His character was really interesting, in my opinion. So basically, the Chopper is soon to be revealed to be an American, and he's riding, and we see this man riding on a dirt bike in the desert, and he's doing daredevil-like stunts. And basically, yeah, so he's doing daredevil-like stunts and everything, like I said. And I've now lost the recap. Sorry, guys. You guys know I read off a recap. That's nothing new. You guys know that. I just closed out the recap by mistake, guys. I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. So, the Chopper, basically, he is going after Sonya. He is not a good character, obviously. He is after Sonya, and Sonya's his new target, and he takes the deal, which leads him to a nondescript van with his payment inside, and Sonya, better watch out, because he's coming after her. Now, Sonya, in the meantime, is near Red Ridge, and the DAA agent shows up and tells Sonya to get in his van. Now, the DEA agent was talked to Charlotte last week. We did not see that in this episode. We did not see the whole thing with Charlotte and the DEA agent. I guess we'll find out in the next episode. Now, he tells Sonya to get into his van. The DEA agent gets real about the situation. They both want Eleanor, and he says he doesn't need Sonya involved. But Sonya turns it around on him, threatening to tell the CIA about their plans, and the agent cuts a deal with Sonya. Basically, the deal is she gets to book Eleanor for murder and agrees to let the DEA agent question her. But part of his terms is that she keeps all of this from Marco. She can't tell any of this to Marco. Now, that's a huge thing because her and Marco are very tight and they never keep anything from each other. Now, Marco, and we find out something huge here. I thought this was just really big, a really great twist. I was not expecting this at all, just a really great twist here. Basically, we find out from the DEA agent that Marco and Galvan were childhood friends, and both of their fathers were in the business. Now, Sonya cannot believe this. Because Sonya, of course, is like, there's no way I'm not going to keep this from Marco. But basically, the DEA agent just told him that you can't trust Marco. He just said to her, look, you can't trust Marco. He has not been honest with you. So the DEA agent taps the final nail in the coffin. He hands Sonya a flash drive, mentions that David Tate died in prison last night, and Marco was seen visiting him earlier. So he just told her everything that Marco has not told her about. So this DEA agent really is interested in working with her, and honestly, I think that definitely is very interesting in my opinion. I mean, that was a very big scene. And just, wow, I mean, she just found out a shit ton of information about Marco, a lot more than she needed to, and that was just very big in my opinion. So then we see Daniel, he hits up Cerisola while he's picking up his kid from school. Now, Daniel, of course, as I said, he was going after Cerisola, and Daniel is loud and very in your face and very funny at times. And he is literally shouting at Cerisola's kid, who doesn't even speak English, this kid. He's literally shouting in his face. I thought that was kind of funny. That just proves, like, how funny of a character Daniel is. He's like, your dad does drugs for a living, and that Cerisola tried to get his partners killed. And Cerisola's security takes Daniel away, puts him in jail, obviously, because he's being a douchebag. And Adriana comes to get Daniel out with Marco's assistance. And Daniel reveals that these problems have officially escalated over the border, and that's obviously not a good thing. Now, the thing with Adriana and Daniel, I like that Adriana's always by Daniel's side. That's the thing. Even though Daniel can sometimes be a douchebag and be, like, really out of line, Adriana is always there for him. So Marco's very surprised and worried about this, definitely. He's very surprised and worried. He doesn't know what to do here. So Sonya then plugs in the flash drive, and she sees the video of Marco visiting Tate, and she decides to visit Hank at his place to ask for permission to work with the DEA. And, she wants, because she doesn't know if she should, because, all this time she's worked with Hank. Now, of course, she is not on the best terms with Hank right now, but she needs to still get his permission. So I thought she did the right thing there. Now, Hank is saying, what's the catch? And she tells Hank that what they told her about Marco. And Hank admits that he actually knew about Marco's connection to Galvan, but believes he's his own man. But Sonya doesn't see it that way. Hank tells her that he won't be coming in until the deal with Dobbs is sorted. And Sonya says, it seems only fair that you're held accountable. Because, Hank is trying to get, Hank is trying to, sort out that whole thing with Dobbs and everything. And, Sonya is not on the best terms with him, obviously. So I thought that was definitely a very interesting scene. I'm looking forward to seeing where that's going. Definitely, that was interesting. So basically, Cerisola then visits Eleanor, and they update each other on what's going on. And Cerisola asks if his name can be taken out of it. He says, "I don't want any part of this. I don't want my name involved. I just don't want to be involved with this." And she's questioning him. She doesn't know why he wants to be out of this. And he eventually asks if that's possible, to leave this mess unscathed. and she suggests selling Red Ridge immediately and taking the loss. Now, in fact, she already has a buyer, surprisingly. Now, Cerisola asks her to come to his side, but that means betraying Galvan. Now, that's huge, because Cerisola and Galvan, they are very tight right now, and Galvan is, that guy that gets things done. He knows he's there to get things done, and she tells Cerisola that Galvan has what she wants, and Cerisola implies that maybe he can get what she wants from Galvan. And Eleanor looks at him with a sparkle in her eye, and I have no idea what she is thinking right now. I have no idea. She is thinking something, but I don't know, because we don't find out what she's thinking. We don't see what happens after that in the episode. So, then we find out what happened here. Basically, Galvan, a marina raid takes place at his hideout. There's literally this huge gunfight going on. I was surprised by, how big this was. They find the tunnel, and the man that Galvan has been keeping prisoner, aka Eleanor's pet, and it looks like Galvan no longer has what Eleanor wants. So, Eleanor, obviously, she's going after Galvan. She does not want to be, they just killed the guy, they just killed the man that Galvan is keeping prisoner, and that was just really big, and I was not expecting that at all. So, even, Eleanor has just betrayed everyone at this point, pretty much. So, that was definitely very interesting, and Galvan, I definitely think Eleanor's going after Galvan. I don't think Eleanor really wants to work with Galvan. I think that she is going to betray Galvan now, so we'll have to see what happens there. Galvan and Eleanor are two central villains of the season, so it should be interesting to see what happens there. So then we see, very sad scene, definitely, Sonya and Marco, they have only met up, they have not yet met up in this episode. Now, they were apart for most of the episode, and Sonya, of course, has to tell Marco the truth, and it's really sad, just because you really feel for both of them in that moment, because Marco, he kept that from Sonya because he didn't really want her involved with it, yet he should have been honest with her. Now, Sonya tells Marco she knows about Tate and his visit to see him, and she has, she asked him straight out. She literally asked him straight out if Galvan killed Tate for him. And Marco doesn't deny it, but tries to explain it. And Sonya's a very black and white way of looking at things. She only processes things strictly as they are. But Marco sees, all Marco sees is the gray and how complicated each situation is. And it finally clashes with them. And I thought that was very interesting in my opinion. That finally it's actually clashed. They've always had this sort of relationship where she looks at things in just the way they are. And he always looks at things as, in a complicated way. He doesn't have any answers really. But Sonya knows how things are and things like that, so I definitely think that's very interesting, and basically Marco has lost, Sonya does not trust Marco now. So who can Sonya trust? I mean, she doesn't trust Hank, she doesn't trust Marco, she doesn't trust Jack, she has barely anyone she trusts, really, except for maybe Adriana. That's really all she has right now, because she kind of trusts Hank. I mean, Hank she's still mad at, but I think she's getting there. I think it's going to be Marco and Sonya. I think they're going to be apart for the rest of the season, but I do think they're going to be able to work this out. But that was just really interesting, in my opinion. I was not thinking that was going to happen at all, definitely. I thought that was very surprising, and I really felt for both of them in that moment, because it's very much that Marco did not want her to get involved. You could tell that he didn't intentionally mean to hurt her or anything, but Sonya was hurt by this because, thing about Sonya, she's going through a very hard time. Two men were not honest with her. Two men that she cared about very much were not honest with her. And then she finds out that the only person that she thinks has been honest with her is not. I mean, you just gotta feel bad for her, really. She's not having a good time lately, and you gotta feel bad for Sonya. I really felt bad for her in that scene, definitely. I mean, that was just really hard scene to watch. So Marco arrives to Chihuahua police station, and he finds out that the marinas might have Galvan, and they're taking a look at Robles. He knows who's behind this, so he confronts him about it, and Robles won't admit to ratting out Galvan's location, and he reminds Marco to choose his friends wisely. So I'm wondering if Robles is working with Eleanor, because Eleanor, I'm pretty sure, is after Galvan. Now, we find out where Galvan is. Galvan and his lackey are still in the tunnel. Now, Galvan believes it's time to tighten the circle, so he ends up killing all his men, and that means there will be very fewer snitches. He and his lackey remain as they continue to go down the tunnel, and that's how that ended. So then, so that was definitely very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And then we see Sonya. She arrives home alone, only she's not by herself. She thinks by herself. Guess who's there? The Chopper. Of course, we've seen the chopper in one other scene, and we finally see the chopper go to Sonya. He points the gun at her, directs her to drop her cell phone. She's obviously terrified at this point. She obviously is terrified. I mean, think about if this man was just pointing a gun at you. I'd be terrified. He moves, I mean, I could probably try to kick his ass the best I could, but if he pointed a gun at me, I don't know what I'd do there. The chopper expects that move, knocks her out. He doesn't kill her, though, picks her up, kidnaps her, and this is all part of Galvan's delicate mission. But the question is, what does he have up his sleeve for Sonya? What is Galvan's real plan here? That's what I'm wondering. And that was the perfect way to end the episode, because it's just, like, really intense now. I have no idea what Galvan's plan is. No idea. Eleanor also has some plan for Galvan. So, Galvan and Eleanor, something is going to happen with them, because Eleanor does not trust Galvan at this point. This episode, I think, was really about trust. I think that's what this episode was really about. Even though it was about planning things, it was a lot about trust, too, because Sonya's lost Marco's trust. Eleanor doesn't trust Galvan. You know, Cerisola doesn't trust Eleanor, things like that. There's a lot of trust stuff going on there. So that's definitely very interesting in that plot. Really enjoyed it. Definitely really good stuff there. So let's get to the subplot. The subplot had to do with Eva and Linder. They are still on the run, and we learn that they're actually more on a vigilante mission. They're running away from anything, you know, than running away from anything. They're actually just on this mission, you know, because it looked like when Linder took her in that truck, that he was, you know, getting her away from something. But he's not really getting her away from anything. They're just on a vigilante mission. So she asks him about his past, and Linder instead asks about hers. And she talks, now, for whatever reason, he doesn't want to talk about his past, and she doesn't know why. Eva then talks about her mother, childhood, and how she ended up with Hector to begin with. And at the end of her story, she spots the man who offered to give her a ride and ended up talking to the men who assaulted her. You know, ended up taking to the men who assaulted her outside. The man gets in his car, they follow him, and that's obviously not a good thing. So that's definitely very interesting. And luckily, though, we do finally find out about Linder's past. He talks to Eva about his childhood with his sister, an abusive father. And this was definitely very interesting. He was beaten badly, and when he was old enough, he left without his sister, who was abused even worse by their father. I mean, just really intense, really bad life going on there. Definitely, he went through shit. Really, he did. He regretted leaving without her, and when he went back, she was gone, and he eventually found her at this shelter where she died. And Linder blames himself for her sister's death because she did not stand up to their father. So we hear Linder tell his story as we see him sneaking into the home of the man they've been following. He hits the man's head with force, and he's dead. So he killed the man, and it seems like they're on this vigilante mission, so they're going to kill definitely more people. That's not going to be the first person they killed. But overall, I really love this episode. A lot of stuff I'm wondering here. First of all, what is Galvan's plan? That's really what I'm wondering here. What is Galvan's plan? I'm wondering what his plan is. Definitely, that's going to be interesting to see what he does to Sonya. Marco, I really felt bad for the guy in this episode. I mean, Marco just... Sonya does not trust him now. How is he going to get Sonya's trust back? I'm sure he does want Sonya's trust, definitely. He truly does care about her as a friend, definitely. They are friends. I'd say they're more than just, you know, detectives working together. They seem like genuine friends, and you know, now she doesn't know if she can even work with him. So I definitely think there's, you know, they got to get that trust back, definitely. Eleanor and Cerisola, I think that Eleanor definitely is going after Galvan. I mean, you can definitely tell, especially the fact that she killed the man that Galvan's been keeping prisoner. So I definitely feel she has a different agenda than Galvan does. I don't know if she wants to kill Galvan, but she definitely has a different agenda than Galvan does. I think she wants to kind of like ruin his plan. I don't know if she wants to necessarily kill him, but I think she at least does want to ruin his plan. I don't know necessarily what she wants, though. Sarah, you know, as far as, Eva and, Linder go, Eva and Linder, I don't know, you know, what's going to happen with them, actually. You know, I know they're on a mission. They're going to kill more people. We'll have to see who they go after next. I definitely feel this is going to connect to the Eleanor storyline. I don't know if they're necessarily after Eleanor or if they're after Galvan, but I do think this is somehow going to connect because everything else connected in this episode except that. Also, Daniel and Cerisola. Daniel definitely is after Cerisola, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And also, do you think Robles is working with Eleanor? Do you think that's what's going on here? I really feel Robles is working with Eleanor. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens there, but Marco really does not trust the guy right now. So yeah, that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Overall, I thought this was a very good episode, by far best episode of the season. I mean, that ending just wow. That ending had made my jaw drop. Definitely great ending. But love this show, loving where it's going. This show just gets better and better every episode, and this episode was just so good. That's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys in my next video, which will be my review for this week this week of Big Brother, which I'm not looking forward to a review. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not looking forward to it. But I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.